Welcome to the Fortified Life podcast, where we learn how to develop a dependency on Jesus in the marketplace. From the boardroom to the bathroom, God is with you. Here's our host, author, speaker, teacher, encourager, stewardship coach, and my husband, the man they call Mr. Fortified, Jason Davis.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Fortified Life podcast, where we are passionate about developing a dependency on Jesus in the marketplace. I'm your host, Jason Davis, aka Mr. Fortified. Every week, we have the opportunity to bring on authors, speakers, coaches, CEOs, leaders of nonprofits that are passionate about putting God back in business and integrating their faith into the work that they do. And today is no different. And ladies and gentlemen, I got to tell you, I am in particular excited about this episode for the second time ever. There's always a first, but then we got to honor the second. For the second time ever on the Fortified Life podcast, we have a returning guest. This is somebody that I've gotten to know very well over the years, and I am very excited to have her back because she's going to talk about what the new things God is doing in her life and in her business. Before I bring her on, let me introduce her to you and maybe reintroduce for some. Irina Curenton is an author, speaker, coach, and publisher. She empowers mothers on their journey to finding rest and work-life harmony. In working with Irina, busy moms significantly reduce their anxiety and overwhelm using a proven 4-step framework to release the mental and emotional weight, gain joy and confidence in the weight, and improve their work-life balance while reducing the effects of trauma, triggers, and brokenness in the process. Irina is the founder of Hope Reconnects LLC, a coaching and consulting company dedicated to providing safe spaces for women and families to break through and heal from destructive generational cycles and patterns. In addition to her lived experience, Irina has over 20 years of experience working directly with children and families, with 15 years coaching parents through socio-emotional well-being. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Fortified Life, Irina Curenton. Irina.
Hey, I'm so glad to be here today. I'm so excited to be a returning guest. That's such a great honor. So thank you so much for having me today. I'm so grateful to be here.
Indeed. Now, Irina, I know we were talking offline and now we bring that conversation online. Inquiring minds want to know, what is going on with you? How have you been? What have you been up to? And what are the new things that God is doing in your life?
That I feel is a loaded question. I feel I could just talk for days on that, but I'm just going to recap kind of what you said before we joined here. You said everything new. And that's what I believe God is doing, everything new. So right now, I had my book out, right? Reclaim Your Radiance, 4 proven steps to release the mental and emotional weight and gain confidence and joy in that weight. And so now there is a companion guide.
Woo!
There's a companion guide, and there's also to come a planner. So I'm excited about that. So this is right in alignment with what God has been revealing to me about how you first start with wholeness. Then you move to wellness, and then it's the work-life balance or the work-life harmony. And so you can't really get to the work-life harmony part unless you've done the wholeness part. You've found out who you really are. And then you have to reconnect with those you love and reconnect and even with yourself, in your wellness journey in terms of your fitness and all of that. So I'm excited to be on that journey as we speak. That is a continual process, and I'm just excited. God has given me just so much with this, and I'm excited. So that's a little bit about what's new there.
I love it, Irina. Now, as you know, people love them some planners. So you've got to dive into the details of what's going into the works with it being read and edited and piloted. And what was the motivation to do a planner? You've got the book, you've got the companion guide. We'll come back to that in a second too, because I know it's been a little bit since we've spoken and since people might have known what's been out versus what was coming. But why the switch up? You have the book, the companion guide, and now, yeah, let's do the planner. So talk to us about that.
Oh, so this part right here, I am not by like Nate, like I guess how I want to say it is naturally, I'm
Hmm.
not, I want to say I am a planner, but that was not always the thing. As I was
Okay.
walking through my journey, my wholeness journey, I lost so many things. I misplaced them. I forgot all the things that were important. I misplaced my keys often. I had a lot of I by nature I'm like a little bit clumsy. I can be a little bit clumsy. And so for me, it as I was stewarding my family, it became really important to me to really make sure that my family is well, and that they have what they need. And in order for that to happen, that means that I need to have my things together and have
Hmm.
myself together. And so this journey actually started with my daycare, which was over 15.
Mm.
Well, okay, so that was 15 years. Um, I would try to get a schedule together, and Jason, I have a stack of like this thick, like very, like probably 2-inch thick schedules, like where I've tried to do a schedule over and over and over again. I didn't know the first thing about doing a schedule. I didn't know
Mm.
what actually and what that entailed. How do I prioritize my time? How do I manage the time that is allotted to me? I didn't know
Yeah.
any of those things to begin with, and so I really struggled. I struggled with time management, which I learned that is actually management of yourself, right? And
Mm.
so that actually tied in directly to my healing journey. And so as I healed, I became better at planning. I understood more of the concept behind it. I started
Mm.
seeing patterns, and I kept writing over and over, like on a piece of paper. This is the plan. And I would write them in notebooks and things like that. And I was just like, this isn't working. And I would go to the store and I would try to go pick up a planner that worked for me.
Mhm.
And I could never find a planner that worked because the spaces were too little. There weren't enough boxes because it didn't do everything I needed it to do. And so I wanted a planner that I could actually have to live my life.
Mm.
And so I created the Busy Moms Productivity Planner. And so
Mm.
that is, it's full, it's complete with your vision. It lays that out because for me it starts with vision.
Yeah.
I can't even begin to have a plan if I don't have the vision, like the long-term vision. And so for me, God usually has since probably 2016, God has given me a word every year. And
Hmm.
so I need a place to capture that. I would always write it in, and I'm like, no, wouldn't it be cool if I had a place where I could actually have that? What's the vision for this year? So I have it literally inside my planner
Wow.
and a space for that. But I also left room for my busy moms to write their own, right? Because
Hmm.
obviously it's not mine, but everybody has been given their own. The other thing that I really struggled with was meals.
Mm.
And
Okay.
how do I start to the maintenance piece, right? How do I maintain what has been given? That's all about, stewardship. And I know you're really big on stewardship. And so I'm like, Lord, how do I do this? And that has been the work literally for the last, I don't know, 17 years plus. How do I actually maintain what I have?
Mm.
And so God gave me this vision because I actually created my own. There were planners that came close, but they didn't quite fit the bill. So I
Mhm.
actually started creating my own spreadsheets, and that, like, just on even Word documents, where I would
Mhm.
create this thing and I would print it out for the month, and it worked fine. And then it was like, well, have your ladies pilot it. And I'm like, oh, okay. I knew that I was going to do a planner eventually. And then he said this was the year to do it. So I'm like, okay. So I started getting ready to send them the black and white version. And it was
Mhm.
just like literally like a Word document, like the template. And Holy Spirit was like, no, like, not, no, 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 we're not doing that. Like, go ahead and create the thing and then send it to them. So do a whole, like, basically a month, like a kit, if you will, like a starter kit.
Okay.
So I created a starter kit, and the feedback that I received on the starter kit was amazing. And so
Mm.
there's not, what it includes here is not just the, let me see, I did, and it's for a month. So like the starter kit. So it has the vision, it has the goals, like your goal brain dump, or I love the word brain pour, but that,
Mm.
then your special occasions, because you have to make sure that your families are, you're honoring their
Oh
presence,
yeah.
right? So making sure that you have those in there, the special occasions. Also, for me, I have 6 kids. So there's 8 of us in the house, right? And
Right.
so trying to plan all of these occasions is like, I noticed that there was such a, like, sometimes there were repeats, and I would be
Yeah.
asking the same thing over and over. So I actually created a template for that. So I have
Mm.
special occasion plan, like, what is the planning sheet exactly, and then like a birthday planning sheet, that's all in here. So actually asking what their interests are, giving, like, what are they requesting as gifts, what's their preferred theme, who do they want to invite, that kind of thing. Just allowing that space for that, and then I just hand them a sheet. I just did this
Mm.
because I would catch myself doing last minute planning for these birthday events and things like that, and I'm like, I just felt so, just mom guilt over that, and I'm like, I don't want to feel that, so why not create a solution for it? So I did. And the other thing it has in here is journaling and just more brain dump. Like, so it's actually journaling pages in here. And then what I'm really excited about is it has the 4-week overview, which focuses on the woman, the wife and mother,
Mm.
and her work. So that's the
Wow.
outline that God gave me, is like, we're focused on the woman, the wife and mother, and her work. Those are all different roles. And so we have ourself as the woman, right? Then what we do at home as the wife and mother, and then how we show up in the world as our work. So each, for that, there's 4 weeks there. You have right here, you have just, each week, looking at what are the highlights, or what are the things that need to be brought out, what are the things, the
Yeah.
goals that you have for the month. So then that way you can actually incorporate it into your monthly plan. The other thing I have is a meal plan, which I was
Mm.
really excited about, because this was not something that I really enjoy, and I still don't really enjoy, but my family has to eat, right? And I don't, it gets expensive if you go shopping, go eating out all the time and things like that for a
Mhm.
family of 8, you can imagine. So, and I want my family to eat healthy.
Right.
So I have it built in there, all of the meals. So that's really exciting there. And then also we have self-reflection, weekly self-reflection, and Bible focus, and heart checks.
Mm.
So some of my ladies have been using it as their journal. Yeah. And then lastly, we have a weekly reset. And so
Okay.
that's where you start to incorporate the maintenance piece. Like, how do you actually steward your home, making sure your laundry's done, making sure the clothes are laid out, the fridge is cleaned, your zones are tidy, all of that. Your calendar's updated, your meals are ready, or at least you have a plan for it. So that kind of thing. And so I was really excited when God gave me this concept, because it's definitely brought color to the pattern. It's brought so much color and life to it. And I've received nothing but good, positive comments. And this is definitely created for busy moms. So this is like, you can kind of see it a little bit, but it's got the same colors as my book. So everything, fun fact is, I went back and on Facebook, one of my pictures popped up and I was wearing the same colors.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, oh my gosh. So the whole brand he's laying all that out. He's laid it all out. And this is the brand. It starts with reclaiming you. And that was actually the first pillar in my business. It was reconnect, reclaim, reconnect, and rebuild. And so that's very much in alignment with the first pillar of my business, my program, my ministry, all of that. So I'm excited. It's just definitely, and that's all about the woman, or, the person. My husband actually came to one of my classes, and I did a birthday/book launch, and he spoke up and he was like, I just want y'all to know, this is not just for women. This is for men too. So that was really cool to get that feedback from him.
Irina, I was getting excited as you were sharing. There were so many different things. I don't want the audience to miss this part. And I know the type of thinker that you are, but the Holy Spirit challenging you to, nope, let's go with it. And there's a spiritual lesson there in moving and doing what God's called you to do, but there's also a business lesson there that done is better than perfect. And so a lot of times there's this tendency or this desire to, well, I've got to dot all the I's and cross all the T's and everything needs to, but concepts like piloting provide feedback, and feedback is a gift. So I didn't want the audience to miss that, because you are getting such good feedback. You created a feedback loop with moms that are telling you how effective this is. And folks, I don't know about you, but what I'm hearing and showing for those of you who are watching rather than listening, what I'm seeing from you, Irina, is the quality of this planner. It's going to be exponentially greater than if you had just tried to do it alone and launch it as is. And so that's what's so exciting about this, is now you've got moms actually telling you how it's working for them, and you're going to market already with those testimonials. So it's just, folks, I didn't want you to miss it. I was like, Irina is giving you some MBA level, like, wait a minute, you need to really sit and unpack what she's telling you. Feedback is a gift that will preach, Irina, that will preach. So, Irina, I love what your husband said too. This is also for guys. So go ahead. I don't want you to lose your thought. Go ahead.
I was going to say, just on that word, you said done is better than perfect. And that's one thing that I really struggled with for a long time, is that perfectionism. And for anybody who is struggling with that perfectionism, and you have things in you that need to come out, but you're really, really struggling with that, I want to encourage you to really listen to what Jason is saying. Done is better than perfect. And release that spirit of rejection. Allow it to go, because the thing that's inside of you has to come out, and it needs to come out. And there's an appointed time for that. So don't miss that. Don't miss that window of time. Don't miss that window of opportunity. And if he is speaking to you, do it, and do it quickly.
Irina, I saw you base up there, folks. If you now, I'm looking at her, folks. So those of you who are listening to the show, if you had seen how she got into mom mode and looked like right into it, and so I was like, oh man, I feel like I need to be obedient right now. But she looked directly into the. But folks, I mean, hope reconnects. That's all I can say. My God, um, Irina, with this planner, God clearly is doing a work in the product side of things, but what would you say? How have you changed, or what lessons have you learned as a business owner, or even personally, in this process of going through this pilot? You know, a lot of times we're thinking about the customer. We absolutely should. We want to delight and deliver value to our customers. But there are many times where we, as the business owner, we end up changing. And so, what has that been like for you in going through this process with this new product? And to your point, you're like, oh, I don't know. Sometimes I'm a little bit clumsy. And the Lord's like, no, you're going to be the one to launch a planner. So, talk just about how the Holy Spirit has worked in you while launching this planner.
That's such a good question. So I'm reflecting on God gave me a set of W's. This is how he speaks to me. So that's just.
I knew two things, either some alliteration or a framework is coming, folks. I know Irina. That's why I love her so much. I knew it was coming. Go ahead. She's about to preach now. She's about to lay it down.
So, yeah, it's a whole thing. So God gave me, the three W's, right? So the woman, the wife and mother, and her work. And so out of that, there's worship, word, walk, and wisdom. And so in that, he's taken me through this journey to almost like rededicate my heart to him.
That's good.
And so like really going back to the beginning, he even took me back through my book. Like even as I was doing my class, because I did taught the class. And so even as I was doing that, we as business owners, we have to be the first customer or the first client, right? And so he usually uses us, our experience, so we can speak from a place of conviction. And so as he was taking me through this book again, I had to go back through and really allow God to fine tune me. And even in this last couple years, God has been taking me through an extensive process of like really fine tuning all the crevices and cleaning out all the little extra gunk. And, like I'm picturing a glass, how it's, kind of like, when it comes out of the dishwasher, sometimes it's not quite sparkly clean. There's like those little watermarks on them, and you have to like polish the glass, right? So that's kind of what I feel like it's been. It's been like a remaking and a polishing. And so that's not been an easy process. So I'm like, okay, Lord, you know me. Help me, give me some insight, give me some vision about where are we headed? Because I know that he's called me to speak with conviction. And so I have to be able to understand the vision. And so what he gave me is these 4 words. And so I've literally had to walk through this process of giving him my heart, looking at the worship, reclaiming my heart for him. And then going into the word, which if you go and do some study, and I know you'll love this, word actually means order. And so he had to really order the steps and really bring things into order, right? And then walking the walk, learning how do I actually do the things that I'm called to do, and then learning how to apply everything that I've done with that wisdom. The wisdom is a real life application. And so as this planner is getting ready to come out here, I believe that this planner is definitely going to bless your life, especially if you're that busy mom that's you. Oh my goodness, like we are creatives. Our brain, especially visionaries, like our brains, we got plans for days, right? But a lot of times we can't execute them because we have so much in our heads. And Jason can remember this. Like if you actually look at my library at home, like I've got notebooks for days with all of the plans and everything in there that I couldn't implement right away. And I'm like, literally years of work. And I'm like, God, what am I ever going to do with all of these frameworks and things? And slowly, but over time, he's shown me one step at a time. This is what we're doing next. This is now it's time for this. He's been talking to me about this planner for I knew I was going to do a planner for at least the last 2, maybe 3 years. I didn't know when, but I knew. And so I was preparing my little templates. Well, then he started, my framework is actually the Hope framework, which the book is based on. It's a 4-step framework. But within that 4 steps is contained 12 steps. And so, 4 times 3, that's 12. But within that, it still is applicable today. Just in the month of June was remodel. And so that's when God started remodeling the planner and brought it to life, and so all of that. So it's been a journey for sure, to say the least, but there's been times where it's been really frustrating. And there's been times where it's been really exciting, but I will have to say the more of it has been just more frustration and learning how to be patient in the process. Ooh. Which is not that's not an easy thing to do, especially. And he's been stretching my capacity like none other. So when he stretches your capacity, that means you're about to elevate and you're about to accelerate. So that means you need to prepare. And so that's why I'm having a place to capture all of your thoughts, having a process and a system to be able to implement is so important. And it needs to be one that you can remember. And that's what I love about the way that God speaks to me, because for me, that works. As a busy mom, I have to have things I can remember. I can remember hope, right? Hope is all in the word. And I can remember, hear, own, perceive, embrace. I can remember that. And so for me, that's how God speaks to me. It's like, it's very concise, very simple, and it's effective. So I know that this planner is going to be just as effective.
So good, Irina. Now, I know we might be jumping ahead a little bit, Irina, but as you go through the pilot phase, we have to ask here on the Fortified Life, but when do you expect the launch to be, and how can people stay connected to you to know when the planner is dropping?
So the launch for the planner, the date will be announced, but look for it Black Friday. Look for it then.
Okay.
Yeah, look for it around that time. If you want to know more details, you can follow me on Facebook or Instagram. Everything is moving it's going to be IrinaCurenton, but for now you can follow me on, you can find me at Hope Reconnect on Instagram. You can also find me there on Facebook, but also look for me at IrinaCurenton.
Love it. Love it. And folks, we will have all of Irina's contact information in the show notes. So don't you worry. You will get your planner come Black Friday. Now, Irina, we are in, and it's crazy because this year is blown by. We're in September. It's almost hard to believe. And I know you've got the launch of the planner, but what's next for IrinaCurenton? What are you excited about before 2024 will end and going into 2025? What are you most excited about before we close out the year?
That's such a good question. Well, definitely the planner. That's
Hmm.
going to be launching, and I'll be looking forward to having the full planner coming 2025. That'll be amazing. And so again, we start with wholeness.
Hmm.
So taking you through the process, wholeness, and these are all W's as well. So wholeness, wellness, and work-life harmony or work-life balance, right? And
Mm.
so before you can even get to that place of where you have all your ducks in a row and you have all of your plans laid out and all of that, before you get to that work life harmony, you have to go through the process, and it starts with wholeness.
Mm.
And that's the piece I'm really excited about, and I will always be excited about is the book. So we have the companion guide, we have the book. And so I'm going to be focusing more on actually coaching people through the book and using this using this companion guide. So I'm excited for some upcoming classes. I'm excited about the academy that's
Mm.
coming. So really excited about that because it's going to have everything in there, all of the videos that I've done, all of the all of the tools and things that I've that God has given me, and it's going to be set up in with for the woman, the wife and mother, and her work. So I'm excited about that. I'm really really excited to see the community come alive, and just really adding more people into our community, because now that we have this framework of the woman, the wife and mother, and her work, we can really focus and hone in on the worship, the word, the walk, and the wisdom. Because here's the thing, as I was teaching my class, I realized that we're just scratching the surface.
Wow.
Like we are literally just in these were like 6-week classes. There's no way that you can absorb all of this material. This is literally it's over 150 pages, and it's
Mm.
really good content. So it's like there were so many questions, so many like people really excited about this process. And I was just having a conversation not too long ago with a friend of mine who, she's in a really tough situation right now. And she was really she started taking my class, and she's like, Irina, I really need this right now. And it really blessed my heart, and it really brought to mind and to the forefront of my mind how sometimes, and I feel like this is for somebody listening.
Hmm.
So don't discredit what God has given you. Don't minimize the value that he's given, because in teaching these classes, I'm learning like there's so much more to this process. So we're really, really going to dive into that. There's more to come on the podcast, on my podcast. And I'm excited to really, really teach this in more depth. So that's what I'm excited about. Just really bringing people into our community and making it a holistic community that where we're focused on the wholeness, the wellness, and the work-life harmony. So that way we can truly fortify our families and fortify our lives by incorporating God, incorporating all of these processes into our life, so that it is well-rounded and well executed. And so we can truly steward all that we've been given in a way that allows us and the people around us to flourish. That's what
Amen.
I'm excited about.
Irina, see, now I got to stay calm. You teasing me using my favorite word like that. It's just gonna say fortify and just walk away. But folks, that's why Irina is so awesome. You need to make sure we'll have all her links and social media so you can follow and keep up with what she's doing. One more time for the listeners, Irina. So we have the new planner. What's the new planner? The book and the companion guide, what are the names and the titles? Where can they find the current book? And then also, what's the name of your podcast?
Okay, so the name of my podcast is Chain Breakers Podcast, because we're breaking chains and shifting culture. And so that's the Chain Breakers Podcast with Irina Curenton. That may or may not change, but that's where you can find it right now. You can find that anywhere you find podcasts. The book is Reclaim Your Radiance, and that's the title. And it's 4 proven steps to release the mental and emotional weight and gain confidence and joy in the weight. And that's a play on words, because those emotional things can feel like weights that we carry around. And we need to release those, because we can't fully move forward and walk in the calling that God has put on our life if we're walking around with these weights attached to us. So that can take time. For me, that was a process of 12 years that I had to learn how to trust God and learn how to walk in this thing. So, that is the weight. But learning how to really, truly embrace who you are in that process, that's what this book is all about. And so if you feel like you feel like that heaviness in your chest, maybe even every once in a while it comes up, or maybe you find yourself so irritated by the people in your life, or maybe, certain people just irritate you or, rub you the wrong way. A lot of times we are so quick to cancel them. But the thing is that those people are actually a gift, and they're a gift to help us really begin to process the pain, process the trauma, process the brokenness in those triggers, so that we can actually start to move through it and be able to release all of that, so we can start to move forward unhindered. Can you imagine, like, if you have a book bag on your back and you have this, you've got, 50 books in your book bag. Mm-hmm. How easy would that be to walk around? You probably couldn't even fit 50 books in your book bag, right? So you're like, imagine this backpack that's like half open and you're trying to walk around. That's kind of what we do. If we don't take care of that stuff that's on the inside of us, that's what we're doing. We're walking around with a book bag that's full to the brim, and we are being weighed down. And it has to go, right? Because there's so much on the inside of us that needs to come out. And if you're listening to this podcast, you know that already. You know that you're called to fortify your life. And so that's what this book is all about, teaching you some method on how to do that. So then we have the Reclaim Your Radiance Companion Guide. And this is the, this is my version. It's got,
special
all kinds
author
of
edition.
It's my special author edition. It's, well loved. So, but it's a deeper dive into the transformational process of hope. And that's the framework, the hope framework, which is what God has given me. And it's still relevant today. So then we have the Busy Mom's Productivity Planner. And that is specifically, especially for our moms who we love, to be able to help steward your home well. So all of those things you can find on my website. And my Instagram does have, you can find the link there. But for people who are interested, you can find me at chainbreakers.com and then /RYR book, RYR book, like Reclaim Your Radiance book.
Love it, folks. I had Irina restate it because we get going and she's dropped so much nuggets of wisdom, but I wanted you all to hear the titles and know what you're getting when you go out and get the book, the companion guide, and the planner. So I just wanted I wanted her to restate it so that you all knew exactly what they were and how to find her, because this is the type, Irina, in these days that we're living in. It's doing that soul work that makes the difference. We know what we came off of over the last 3 years, and people are coming out of that, and people are transitioning, and they're stepping into the new. Now, the question is, what is that new that you're stepping into? And so being aligned with what God is calling you to do instead of toiling in the emotions, that can be a lonely journey. So the resources that Irina provides, you definitely want to lean in to everything God has given her. And ladies, I can't tell you, there's not a better person whose content and his resources that can come alongside you and help you do that. So make sure you go out and get your copies today. Irina, that's all we have time for. You already know that we could be on here for 3 hours, but we don't have time. We got to let her go. She's got to go back and be that pillar in her family and continue conquering the world. But Irina, just wanted to thank you so much for hanging out with us here on the Fortified Life.
Thank you so much for having me. And be encouraged. Remember to reclaim your radiance.
I love it. Folks, that's all we have time for. IrinaCurenton Part 2. But you know how we leave things here on the Fortified Life. Don't compartmentalize your faith and the marketplace. And from the boardroom to the bathroom, God is with you. We'll see you next time on the Fortified Life podcast.
Thank you for listening to the Fortified Life podcast. You can catch us live on Wednesdays at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time and on demand. Check out fortifieddlifepodcast.com for more details. To learn how to live out your faith in the marketplace, grab a copy of Jason Davis's book, Fortified, Being Rooted in God's Plan for Work and Business, available on Amazon.